Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back. Is anyone up? Is anyone up? Good morning to you. Good morning. Welcome back. A beautiful Monday. Good morning to you. Beautiful way to start the week. Good morning to you. On today's show, 10 other things that Martin Luther King said. It seems to me that we get stuck, especially when it comes to Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we keep replaying the same old highlights. But Dr. King was a man that was much deeper than what the mainstream press and even our history books have told us. It was far deeper than that. He went through a transformation, and the history books just won't allow it because they love the image of Dr. King, forever stuck in amber, forever stuck in our minds with the I Have a Dream speech. But this morning, I want to share with you 10 other things that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that we should remember. We should take this to heart. Good morning to you. Listen, I want to give you 60 seconds to like and in particular share today's show. Again, 60 seconds. Please like and in particular share today's show. It's a holiday, so a lot of people are going to be sleeping in. I get it already. Now, coming up at 9 a.m. this morning, we are scheduled to speak with a brother that's running for Cincinnati City Council. He's scheduled to give us a call, a Zoom call at 9 a.m. this morning. I'm talking about Brother James Jenkins. So he's running for council. You know me, I want to talk to every person that's running. If they are going to be on the ballot, if they have intentions to run, I want to talk to them here. And preferably, I want to talk with them first here on the Nathan Ivey Show. Good morning to you. So again, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. Family, please take a second to like and share today's show. Now, you know me, that won't be everything we're talking about because I like to keep it diverse. So we'll keep it diverse this morning. I'll give you a sense of news that's happened over the last, I'd say 72-hour cycle since we last talked on Friday. There are some things that are worthy of our conversation or worthy of a conversation, so we'll get into it. But I'll give you a second to like and in particular share today's show, and then we'll get started. Good morning, fam. Don't go anywhere.
Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Thought I'd switch it up for a day if you don't mind. I know a lot of people like that intro. It is pretty dope. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. I just want to get things started. Good morning to you. How are you? Hey, there it is. We back up on the cam there. There it is. Please like and share today's show. What? We got people up this morning? I'm a little surprised. What are you doing? Are you working today? Hustlers never stop working. This ain't no holiday for the hustlers out there, for the grinders, for the folks out there developing multiple income streams. You up early. You been up what? I've been up since 4:30 this morning. How would you get started? That's right. I love it. And when it's dark outside, I've got 2 children, including a 6-year-old. I'll tell you about his birthday over the weekend that we had. It was a spectacular time. But for folks out there grinding, you don't get no time off. You can sleep when you're dead, homie. Until then, you got to make that money. Make that bread, man. Time to make the bread. Good morning to you. How we looking out here? How we sounding? We sounding good? And my people, don't have me looking out here crazy now. Don't have me out here looking crazy. Good morning to you. How are you? Hope you had a great weekend. My weekend was spectacular. My son turned 6 this month on the 16th. This is what's on Saturday. And he was so excited, man. When you get older, depending on your personality, like birthdays can be like, you know what I'm saying? But when you're 6, like that energy you get from your children, it's just so good. So he was excited all week. You know, said he's celebrating his birthday the whole week long. I said, go ahead and do it. I ain't got no problem with that. I'm glad you're here, little buddy. And I posted some images. The wifey had posted them. And so I posted some images as well, just kind of talking about my son. And he is a great son. He is a great boy. He is a great boy. He is developing nicely. He's developing nicely, getting taller. Like, what? He got some little 6-year-old muscles. I'm like, what? Walk around the house with his shirt off. Like, boy, if you don't get out of here. And his personality is starting to develop now, you know, starting to get a sense of who he's going to be and what he stands for. And it is hilarious. It is hilarious. Oh, man, I was just in this room earlier because I left something on his dresser, right? I'm trying my best not to wake the boy up, right? And I guess I must have kicked his bed by accident. His room isn't that big. And he half sleep, wakes up and says, don't you see I'm sleeping, Dad? Yeah, I see you sleeping, son. My bad. I love it, man. I love it. And to see him with my daughter, man, it is the funnest shit in the world. It is hilarious. It's hilarious. You got multiple kids. One of the funnest things in the world is seeing your children interact, especially when they're having a good interaction. Okay, when they're having a bad interaction, it depends. It can be bad. But when they're like playing together or working on a project together or doing something together, you're like, yeah, legacy, yes. Yes, and he is named after me. Proud to say that. Very proud to have a junior. Some men don't have juniors. And I put this up from time to time. I just don't understand it. I'll say it again. Your firstborn child should be named after you. I don't give a damn what your name is. It should be your name, Junior. Anything less than that is it's just unmanly. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. It's just unmanly. But I know I'm going to get shouted down and somebody going to call in and tell me I'm wrong. You meet me at McDonald's. I'm going to show you I'm a man. And I don't need all that, homie. I don't need all that. I know. Good morning. Good morning, 513. meet me at Sunoco, and I'll show you who's a real man and all that. It's just bars, boy. It's just bars. 513-8set or flows. 513-873-7134. If you'd like to share your thoughts. How was your weekend? I hope it was well. Got a slightly different camera angle. Usually it's above the computer screen. I wanted to put it to the side just for today's show. And yes, that is the constellation. That is the universe behind us. The universe. When you're shooting for the stars, you gotta have a visual representation of where you're trying to go. Makes sense to me. Good morning to you. Again, let me circle back around here. On today's show, I want to talk about 10 other things that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said. Now, if you listen to my show for any length of time, like for at least a year, this will not be the first time that you've heard this. I'm going to reiterate something that I like to do is become a ritual on my show around this time of the year, because like I told you at the top of the show, man, I'm sick of the I have a dream speech. I'm sick of that shit. I'm sick of the I have a dream speech. We got you. You know what I'm saying? We understand why America wants to stick with it. And there's some really great flows in there, some really great things that America has never lived up to. See, that's the number one thing about Martin Luther King that pisses me off every time that we get to this point, is that this country, man, y'all love to trot Dr. King out. He was peaceful. Did we say he was peaceful? Be peaceful. It's all about peace. Peace, peace, peace. Be peaceful. Did I say be peaceful? Yeah, Martin Luther King was peaceful. Oh, they love to remind us of that. But I'm broadcasting live from one of the most segregated cities in America, Cincinnati, Ohio. So factor that into your little peace pipe. You know, how's that work exactly? Where is it? When we gonna start that? And then here we are living in a time of visible, very visible, highly visible white supremacy. white supremacists tried to run on the Capitol. They was going to lynch some of you N-word lovers. That's right. It was coming for you because they wanted the righteous white man and their role model, Donald Trump, to win an election that he lost. I'll say it again. Donald Trump was this close to winning the election. And he would have won if he did a better job with COVID. He did such a whack job that the people said, nah. Even people that really wasn't feeling Biden was like, you know what? We got a problem right here. We're going to have to do something about homie. So they did something about him. It is what it is. Deal with it. 513-873-7134. How are we looking out here? I'm looking right. Trying to make sure I'm lined up correctly. Yeah. For all those people like, Nate, you ain't got no wedding ring on. You see that? That's my wedding ring. The wife's name is forever tattooed. See that? It looks perfect. Crystal clear. Look at that. That's my wedding ring. That's my fucking wedding ring. It's tattooed on. I can't take it off. I don't want to take it off. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. So coming up, I got 10 other things that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said. And, quite honestly, I can't take full credit for these flows. I have to give these flows to the big homie Ill Doctrine. How many people are hip to Ill Doctrine? Ill Doctrine. Like way before the Breakfast Club, way before Complex, right? And Everyday Struggle, way before the explosion of the internet. There was people on the internet going back to like 2008. And this brother was doing a YouTube channel called Ill Doctrine. He was into hip hop and delivering commentary. At the time, it was cutting edge. Looking back, it's kind of like, what is he doing? But the flows are so superlative, man, that I can't do. I could recreate this. I could recreate the video and do it justice. You know what I'm saying? But when you're dealing with art, you don't want to mess with the art. You know what I'm saying? You just want to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to recreate a Picasso. Like, yeah, you could probably do it, but it's not going to be the same. So I want to play this for you. You're going to hear the audio version of it. You can find the video. I may play the video later. Let me double check on some copyright stuff because they ain't playing no games these days. I still don't hear some of these arguments. I still don't understand some of these arguments that I'm hearing about Donald Trump and his rights. I don't get it, but we might get a chance to get into that. But I want to play this for you. So this was originally, created and published to the world back in 2008 by a brother named Jay Smooth. And he had a channel called Ill Doctrine. And shout out to Daryl. Daryl, the producer. You out there, D? What up with you, man? Shout out to Daryl. He turned me on to Ill Doctrine. Like I said, when I got to Radio 1, man, I met some great brothers, man, that was like really, really culturally aware in a way that I wasn't. And so I used to just sit back and listen and learn from these brothers, man. I'm talking about the homie Mr. Lamont and Daryl, the producer, man. These cats was like heavily into hip hop and just kind of really, really in the culture, heavily into the culture in a way that I wasn't hip to, admittedly. And they turned me on to a lot of stuff. And it was Daryl, the producer, that turned me on to Jay Smooth. He's like, man, you got to check this guy out. So I started checking him out. Crazy flows, crazy superlative flows, right? So I want to play this audio for you. It's only it's less than 2 minutes, but he's really, really dope. And basically, he's just reciting 10 quotes that you rarely ever hear. You rarely hear these quotes. And I want to kind of break these down and think about them a little bit this morning. I think these are 10 quotes that we should remember that come from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So we're going to roll tape on that. Go ahead and play this.
Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Almost always the creative, dedicated minority has made the world better. An individual is not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. A riot at bottom is the language of the unheard. Don't let anyone make you think God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. And if you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I will place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. I speak as a citizen of the world, for the world as it stands aghast at the path we have taken. I speak as an American to the leaders of my own nation. The great initiative in this war is ours. The initiative to stop it must be ours. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love.
So that was Jay Smooth. You can find him on YouTube. I mean, he from what I saw, I went there this morning. I don't think he's been posting anything for like the last year or so. But if you go back to like pre 2010, dude was on the cutting edge with some of his commentary. All of them stick out to me. I think the one that's the most familiar of the 10 other quotes from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King is the one about a riot at bottom is the language of the unheard. I think that's become a little bit more mainstream. The others, I don't really hear too much. There's one in particular that they all stand out to me. But one I really want to start with is that, for this country to really embrace Dr. King, then we need to rethink our military budget in terms of how we spend our money. I think a big way of determining what a country's priorities are is what they spend their money on. And in this country, we spend way more money on bombs and all the different mechanisms to destroy the human body, to end the human experience, rather than uplifting the human experience, in my opinion. We can start right there. We can start right here. I mean, sadly or ironically or matter-of-factly, however you want to look at it, you know what I'm saying? What we saw at the Capitol going back, it'll be 2 weeks on Wednesday, which by the week, this is going to be a big week. You're going to get Kamala Harris will be the first woman of color that'll be inaugurated as the vice president. Oh, man, the white supremacists ain't going to like that. They ain't going to like that. And then Joe Biden's going to be put in office. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. We'll see what happens. Okay, we get our first call this morning, 513-873-7134. Let's take it. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan Ivey. This is Kelly Prather. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Nathan, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to call and discuss my platform. I know that there were a couple comments about you not having an open door policy for candidates to call in. So I thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, most def. Most def.
So, just to preface what I'm going to say is I love Cincinnati. Cincinnati is an amazing city and there's so much opportunity here. There's actually a lot of wealth here. However, unfortunately, certain segments of the population have been left out of the wealth structure. And so one of my primary goals as mayor of Cincinnati, as the first Black woman mayor of Cincinnati, is to facilitate
well hold on, Kelly.
an environment.
Hey, Kelly, I thought we were going to talk tomorrow. We're supposed to talk on Tuesday.
No, I thought we were talking today.
Nah, I'm looking at your message now. It says, "Hi, Nathan. I can make Tuesday work."
Oh, Nathan?
Yeah.
I'm so excited about getting in there and talking about it today.
Yeah, man. And I want you to do a Zoom. I want people to be able to see you. Is that good?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? That changes everything because if we would have done a Zoom today, I would definitely not be ready. But yes, I'll definitely be ready tomorrow.
Yeah, same time tomorrow.
And so thank you for giving me this opportunity tomorrow. But I'm excited. I'm really excited.
I can tell.
You see that I was already prepared.
I can tell.
I was already prepared.
Yeah,
so
but I want to make sure. Yeah, because I've got a guest coming in. I want to make sure you got enough time and that we promote it right. So yeah, we set it up to talk tomorrow. Cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Nathan. I really appreciate it.
Oh, for sure.
Like you heard, I was ready. I was ready to go. Yes. So continue doing all the great things you're doing, and I'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, we'll catch up with Kelly. Yeah, she is super excited. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, let me double check my messages here to make sure I ain't get my wires crossed. Because I don't want to have people waiting. They're supposed to come on. I want to make sure you get on. I want to make sure I do what I say I'm going to do. That's very important to me. But Yeah, that's Kelly Prather. A lot of people in the audience know her. She is running for mayor. And of course, that path goes through the mayoral primary, which will be this year in May 4th, to be exact. So looking forward to it. So we are, pun intended, going to catch up with Kelly tomorrow. All right, same time. Tomorrow we'll catch up with Kelly, which coincidentally is the name of her show. She got a show titled "Catching Up with Kelly" because she be all around. You know what? I'm a big fan of Kelly Prather. I'll leave it just like that. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection. Up bright and early out here on the left coast, the People's Republic of California, on this beautiful Monday morning, Martin Luther King birthday. How are you doing, Mr. Ivey?
I'm doing great. As I try to fix my microphone. I'm doing great, brother. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, sir. And shout out to Kelly Prather. She is a grinder. She's going to do some damage in that mayoral race. She may not win, Mr. Ivey, but she going to pull some people away from somebody. So I hope, Kelly, I hope you get paid, Kelly, because politicians like you, y'all can do some damage. Y'all can knock out some people that might be a threat to somebody else. So go ahead and get that money, Kelly. Mr. Ivey, what kind of camera are you using, sir? You very rarely shout out the gear that you use.
Yeah, people. I didn't know people would be interested. If you're interested, I hit you up on the with a direct message and give you all the details. I don't want to bore people.
Oh, okay, but no, I hear you, Mr. Ivey. But I've been doing a lot of research on YouTube, and there is a niche out there for people to talk about and promote their YouTube channel, especially a professional like yourself. So I'm pretty sure you're aware of all that.
Yeah,
so that's why I was just wondering if you're gonna do something on that soon in the future.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that with my Patreons. I do a little bit of that with them. So, you know, for the folks who are my patrons, they already realize I kind of give them into how to audio edit, some of the things and some of the equipment I use, but never really started about doing it during the live stream. But I'll hit you up, bro. I'll reach out to you after the show today and try to answer any questions.
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay, good.
Yeah. Not yet, Mr. Ivey, not yet. Cause see, I'm the kind of person, cause you know, I've been around for a little bit. I like to have my stuff together before I go and seek out advice from somebody that's going to help me move to that next level.
Okay.
Because if you coming in with your stuff raggedy and asking somebody for help, sometimes people use that person to clean up before they're actually ready to move to that next step, to that next process. So I'm doing my due diligence before I reach out to you, because you're a professional, Mr. Ivey. You got a business to run, and I really don't want to waste your time. But,
no ways, brother. But, again,
but
you rock with me and support me, I'll support you. That's just how I roll.
Oh, Mr. Ivey, yeah. We've been. I've been a listener on your show, and we've talked a couple of times off the air. But still, Mr. Ivey, you touch a lot of people that you have no idea that you're touching, that you're motivating, that you're enlightening, and that you're guiding through this world, through this place we call life. But Mr. Ivey, the reason I called, sir, I don't know if you're aware, but Joe Biden has been kind of putting out some teasers of some of the things he's going to do in his first 100. And yesterday, they even narrowed it down to his first 10 days. And his chief of staff, Ron Plain, also from the Obama administration, he announced that in the first 10 days and the day of the inauguration, Mr. Ivey, on Wednesday evening, Joe Biden is going to go to the Oval and sign an executive order granting citizenship to 11 million illegal immigrants. And some of the response from the black media out there, Mr. Ivey, it's not that good. Now, I'm asking, have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I have heard about that. I think I saw it on your Twitter page, but I'm not aware of like a big backlash about it.
Okay, well, I heard one prominent voice, and that's Dr. Boyce Watkins. And you know he is a prominent voice in the black community as far as social media. So it usually starts with one. And Roland Martin, he's getting close, Mr. Ivey. His head's starting to get bigger because he's starting to see the signs that all this is going to be is just another remix of Barack Obama and the Biden administration, where there was always excuses why the black community and their agendas was always pushed back, giving excuses that we can't do anything specifically for black Americans and black Democrat voters. But when they turn around in the same breath and give things specifically for Hispanics, South American immigrants, Muslims, these are specific groups that the Democrat Party are giving tangibles and equity specifically for them. And black people are starting to see the little signs. And every time the little signs start to be getting clear and some of the black media start to get a little, looking at them a little side eye, what do the Democrats do, Mr. Ivey? They appoint a black face. And they did it with Jamie Harrison, who ran against Lindsey Graham. And they appointed him as the new chair of the DNC and not Stacey Abrams. So again, Mr. Ivey, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hey,
I
Drop.
didn't see anything.
Are you on YouTube right
sir.
now?
I can.
I can tell you must not be on YouTube, but you would have said something already.
Well, I turned it off because the audio goes off when I'm on the phone.
Right.
So I can look at the comments right now. I mean, is it the usual? Is it the usual, Mr. Ivey?
No, man, you posted a video called Black Not Democrat where you was calling out Mason Mahler, and then you're in the shot. Remember that? You walked past the video, the camera, and came back to it. So I just froze the picture of you, man, making a face. It's hilarious. So everybody can see you're a real person and you are a black person. People think you a white dude.
I know, Mr. Ivey, but you already know people gonna say that ain't him. That's fake.
No, that's Drop.
That ain't him.
That's hilarious, man.
Oh, Mr. Ivey, when I made that video, even a friend of mine said, he was like, "Man, what you doing? What you doing?" I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Why you show your face? I thought you was undercover."
No, I want people to know you're a real person, man. You're a real brother.
I know, but Mr. Ivey, I know, you know how radio is. When you with somebody for a long time, everybody doesn't know the story. So, but that was part of my shtick, Mr. Ivey, is to be ambiguous, not to know if I was black or white. And again,
well, we know now.
I'm going. Yeah, we know now, and we know now, Mr. Ivey. You know, because you got to crawl before you can walk. And I've never been the fan of the camera, even when I refereed, Mr. Ivey. When I refereed, and I'm on a big stage in a gym, and you blow the whistle, you know how it is. When you blow that whistle, all eyes on you, and you got to go report. So I know how to play the role, but Mr. Ivey, my thing is radio. I want to be the voice. So the future is bright for 2021, and Black Not Democrat will be a movement. And I hope
like it.
I get pushback and opposition from black brothers like Politically Petty, like The Invasion, like Is It Just Me? Mr.
I like
Ivey, because you know I'm a lone voice out there, Mr. Ivey, and I think I can get this movement started. Because there's a lot of so-called black Republicans that have been pretty quiet these last couple of weeks. Now, I will give them an opportunity to regroup and come back out after next week when Biden and Harris take over. But I ain't going nowhere, Mr. Ivey. And thank you, sir, for giving me the time. And keep spreading that ugly face, Trump Squad 52, because I love it, sir. I love it, Mr. Ivey. Well, thank you for letting me be the second caller of the show today. You do your thing, Kelly Prather. Go get paid, girl. Drop Squad 52, Black Not Democrat. Dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Stay woke, Black Democrat. Obama Biden remix.
That's drop right there, everybody. Like literally, this is a screenshot of his Twitter page. So you can follow him on Twitter at Drop Squad 52. And he walks every day, which I appreciate. That's him right there walking or running. And then he comes back and said, well, he said something about, hold on.
Is that Mason Mahler? Is that Lenny? The overseer? Lenny, it's me. Drop Squad 52. I'm coming after you, Lenny.
It's those. And so I'm like, man, is that the face he be making when he's calling into the show? Oh, dear Lord. Dear Lord, man. My brother ain't got no facial hair. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man, that's hilarious. Look at this. Look at him. Listen, I like it, man. Black, not Democrat. I'm with you 100%, man. BND. And I hope you kick it off. I mean, again, I need to hear more, but if it's all about, telling, black folks that you don't have to be allegiant to one party, I'm cool with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. The only thing I would say is that I thought there was a brother, man, Officer Tatum, and he's already using that line right there. So you might want to double check that, Drop. It's something close to that. That whole black, not Democrat thing. I've seen it on T-shirts before, but do you, brother? I wish you the best, man. I wish you the best. I do. I 100% wish you the best. Tracy, let me back up here. Brenda writes, happy MLK Day. Same to you, Brenda. Same to you, Brenda. How many people think that James Earl Ray killed Martin Luther King? Anybody still believe that lie? James Earl Ray, I never believed it, as I got old enough to understand how this country works. I didn't believe that. I never believed it. I'm like, yeah, it's just too convenient. Just like I don't believe that Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. I don't believe that. I don't believe. You can believe what you want to believe. I don't believe it. And I believe that OJ killed them white folks. He killed Ron and Nicole. That's just me. I'm a different kind of brother. Okay, I think differently. I think outside the box. But I never believed it. As I got older and started to read more about it, it became very clear to me that it did not happen. A lot of folks don't know this has been underreported that back in the 90s, the family of Coretta Scott King, his family actually civilly sued in court. And they won a court case in which a U.S. jury concluded that James Earl Ray was not the lone trigger man that killed the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. There's a lot of videos out there. There's a video out there of a brother who said that, well, not even a brother, but a white lawyer who represented the King family. He was very close to the King family. He represented the King family in that 1990s court case. He's been on the record as saying that Dr. Martin Luther King did not die by an assassin's bullet. He was mortally wounded, but died later at the hospital at the hands of doctors. This is what he said. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, not one bit. I think there's a lot of lies and half-truths and myth-truths that has been told to us about some of these assassinations. Just like I think there's a lot of lies and half-truths and myth-truths about 9/11. Don't even get me started about 9/11. Don't even get me started on that. Y'all know that I was super 100% laser focused on trying to get to the truth and uncover, what was really going on. So there's a lot of information out there about this, a lot of information about that. People have said, like, I picked up the paper today, the digital paper. I was in the Inquirer. Shout out to the Inquirer. A lot of people hate on them, and I get it. They've admitted they've had some shortcomings and got a ways to go, but I think there's a place for media, legacy media, and independent media. So here it is. How far is Ohio from Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream? And it looks like they spoke with Eddie Cohen with the Urban League. Shout out to that brother. Nearly 53 years after the death of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ohio is far from his dream. Now, we already know that. Health data reveals a worse outcome for Black residents, even after accounting for class and poverty. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related complications than white women. Shout out to Queens Village. They're working on that. Cradle Cincinnati. Shout out to them. The average life expectancy of black people is 4 years lower than the rest of the U.S. population, according to the CDC. In Cincinnati, black men die sooner than white men. And in some neighborhoods, the difference is 20 years. 20-year difference. Think about that. 20-year difference. So, I mean, the question itself is rhetorical. We got a long way to go. And that's because the power structure, the people that control power have never really, and you might say until now, but not really been serious about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, because the dream was bigger than just desegregation, right? It was equity. It was equity, policy, intangibles. You know, it would be interesting for people to pick up on the fact that before his death, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was hyper focused on what? Wealth, economic parity, right? And we live at a time where the gap between the haves and the have-nots has never been wider. Has never been wider. Quote, the irony about all of this is that we still didn't get what we really wanted. At the end of the day, we have billions of concessions, but we wanted police accountability. The ultimate concession would be to be in a place where there is not police brutality, that black and brown people are treated the same as other folks. Well, the Urban League has embarked in some very serious work around that. But, you know, I would say that the next step for me, in my opinion, is the economics. It's about that money. In Ohio, the poverty rate for black Ohioans is more than double the rate for white Ohioans, according to the Ohio Poverty Report. Why is that? Why is that? Let's talk about this. What's your opinion about this? Is this because there are structural things put in place that is helping to project and make these conditions persist? Do we have to look at the black community and say, y'all need to do better? Is it a combination of both? If so, which is the bigger challenge for us? Is it from within? Is it internal? Or is it external, in your opinion? I'd like to know. I want to get your straight up opinions about this. Okay. In Ohio, the poverty rate for black Ohioans is more than double the rate for white Ohioans. In Cincinnati, there's certain neighborhoods where the life expectancy between black and white males is a 20-year difference. 20 years is a long time to enjoy being alive. What is the next hurdle? What's preventing our community from taking that next step? Is it internal? Is it external? Is it both? If it's both, it ain't 50-50, or is it? I'd like to get your thoughts about it. But let me go to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Glenn. Good morning and welcome.
This is BNG, Black Nat Gilligan. How you doing, man?
Black Nat Gilligan. Now, you wrong for that, homie, but you know I love it. You wrong for that. Black Nat Gilligan. That is hilarious, man.
And a little word of advice. You tried to give Drop a little bit, talking about his veneer and what's he trying to say on his show. But they already had that show, Drop. It's called the Candace Owens Show. It's also called the Burgess Meredith Show, the Officer Tatum Show. And when you think about it, Nate, can you think of one black Republican that has facial hair? I mean, think about it. Ben Carson, Herman Cain had a mustache, I guess, and he was doing Billie Jean, so that wasn't good. The Burgess Meredith, the Officer Tatums of the world. I mean, think about it. I mean, Paris Denard, Tim Scott, they all got that, Atlanta, child murderer Walter Williams type of look. That's what Drop looked like without the afro and the big round glasses. I thought it was like a 1970s shoot or something. But let's get directly to your point, what you were just talking about. Nate, first of all, internally, it's only, I don't know, maybe 10%, but the 90% is structural. There's no reason why the child mortality rate for black children is, I think it's like twice the rate of white children. I mean, Nate, we talk about internally. What happened
when the first African-American first lady tried to suggest that we eat healthier. It was turned into a communist plot that, in socialism, to take over America's children's stomach. Am I lying or flying, Nate? And all she was trying to do was get people to eat better, get our children a healthier lunch. And what happened, Nate? It was a plot to take over America. You remember it, don't you?
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, you talk about how crazy they are when Kamala is going to be sworn in. Hell, they didn't even want the kids to eat good veggies. It was some type of takeover. And let me also say this, because I have to address what's obviously in the room when Drip called in. But the reason why there's shows like Politically Petty drop, because the stuff and the disinformation that you try to provide to this community on Nate's show. The whole idea that you're going to use Boyce Watkins as your barometer of what black anger towards, I don't know, people that rightfully know that what Joe Biden is talking about is DACA people. And the majority of those people drop are children. And you continue to wonder why you lose votes. I mean, if we're just going to talk politics. But you continue to, and by the way, and I think Daryl pointed this out, or maybe it was someone else in the room, black people are part of DACA. There's our Africans that are in the DACA program. There are Haitians that are in the DACA program. Just FYI, because granted, the majority will be Hispanics because they kind of like next door. But I think people should be aware of that. Nate, have you seen some of the tapes that have come out? There are going to be more and more of these videotapes of these fools Facebook Live inside the Capitol.
I have.
Did you see that? Did you see the guy with the horns on? I think he's called the Cunin Shaman. Nate, they got a video of him and the rest of them in the Senate chambers. The white officer comes in, and it's like a Dave Chappelle skit. Hey, get down from there. And they were like, oh, we're going to say, okay, one last picture, and then you guys got to leave. That type of stuff, Nate. White boy looked directly at him and say, there's nothing you can do to us. We outnumber you. Then another guy come in and said, hey, we got 4 million people outside. What you going to do? That's how they played them. We talk about disparate treatment, double standards. Yeah, Nate, like I said, it was right out of the Dave Chappelle skit. Like, hey, you guys get down from there right now. Then the guy sat there and wrote a letter like, it's coming. The truth is coming from some old BS. Then they had a prayer with a bullhorn. Little officer sitting there didn't do a damn thing, Nate. We've seen brothers get harassed for less on a Tuesday on Black Wing Night at BW3 and Clifton.
Right.
Am I lying or fine, Nate?
I remember those days. That's hilarious.
So, hey, man, I just had to get that out, bro. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great win. Happy belated birthday to little man, Nate. I saw the pictures and stuff, man. I
Appreciate
remember,
that.
Hey, wait till he get 14, man. He get a little slow, and, he going to act like he want to, say something, a little side eye. You like, boy, just so you know, I will cave your chest in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Yeah, you already know. Hey, but that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. But believe me, in the end, if I knew how you raise your kids like I raised mine, man, deep down inside, they know Daddy ain't playing. He loves me to death.
Or he will
Daddy,
know.
Daddy don't play. Right. Hey, you have a good one, brother.
You too, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate the belated well wish. My son turned 6 on Saturday. It was a great day. It was a great day. He got a few little toys. He got some money that's burning a hole in his pocket. He wants to go to the toy store. I'm like, man, you got a room full of toys. I gotta buy something. Like, man, well, how much money we saving? You know what he told me? He said it depends on. He's like, Daddy, I won't know until I go to the store and I can see how much what I want costs. He kept it real with me, didn't he? Daddy, I won't know until I see how much what I want costs. And then what's left over. I'm like, man, that's not how you save. You save first, man. He is funny. Here's the video that Glenn was talking about. Yeah, I'm here for all of this. I love it, man. I love seeing these motherfuckers go to jail. I'm here for all the stories about how they getting arrested and start belly aching and whining. I'm here for all of that. Let me talk. So on Friday, we talked about CPS, right? let me see here. I talked about CPS on Friday, and I'm going to reach out to all the school board members and try to get them on the show. Every last one of them. And so everybody knows that Carolyn Jones, sister, is the school board president. And coming back, Black Rush, I'll put you back on. She's the school board president. Let me see if she put it up here. So she posted this back on Saturday. You know, on Saturday is when they made the decision, right? They made the decision. If you don't know the details, we'll talk about it. But it was during the day. So I go to her Facebook page to reach out to her, and I did reach out to her. Let me see if I got a response here. Haven't got a response yet. It's just funny how when it's election time, they all want to talk to you. When it's accountability time, they want to pick and choose who they want to talk to. But we'll work on that. I'm confident we'll talk with some of the council members. And we will not forget the school board members that don't want to talk with the public. And going on the LW show is not the same as coming to talk with Nathan Ivey. It's a whole different experience. So Carolyn Jones, she wrote this at 4:10. She writes, I do not plan to resign. This is school board president, CPS. Anyone who knows me knows that I am more than willing to talk, come up me right, and be ready to listen. So I posted straight on her page, like, okay, sis, are you available for an interview on my show? I've got no response or whatever. So Carolyn, if you watching and somebody knows Carolyn Jones, you said come at you right. I'm coming at you right. Let's talk. And again, I'm struggling to understand what the methodology is, like how their thought process. I want to understand it. I want to understand it. If you don't know, we're talking about CPS and their plans to go back to in-school learning starting in February at the latest in March. And I do know there was an op-ed piece that was written by a white couple from Mount Lookout. And they have every right to voice their opinion. Now, I will say that the vast majority of CPS is who? Black folks. But I'll put that out there. But she didn't go into any details. So she writes, come at me right and be ready to listen. So Carolyn Jones, we're coming at you right. I'm coming at you right and I'm ready to listen. So let's do it. You're the school board president. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So the question is, who asked you to resign, Carolyn? And it's just interesting that she would post that on Facebook without any explanation whatsoever, right? As to who asked her to resign. And I guess, again, I'm just piecing this together. But what I can only surmise is that, just looking at the time frame, is that after the decision was made that they made on Saturday about in-school learning and their plans, that she must have got some chatter from the community. People must have tried to come for her. They must have came for her. And what I would say is, I don't got no tears for you, Carolyn. I don't got no tears for no public servants. You chose to run. You making the decisions, you got to take the good and the bad. Sometimes people going to be like, oh, that's a great decision. Sometimes they're going to be like, we don't understand, we need more information, or we downright don't like the decision. I don't think she should resign at all. Why should she resign? She was elected to make a decision. She made it. What she should do is come to the public, and not just one show, but multiple shows, right? And talk to the public about it. That's what she should do. Because I'm curious as hell now. Who asked you to resign? And what I would say is that if this show is good enough to use when it's election time, well, then it's good enough to use when you just made a big decision that people want to know why you made the decision time. When it's difficult question time. When it's election time, it's all good. Well, when it's difficult question time, it should be all good. Black, white, green, it don't matter. It's about the health of our children and all the staff and support staff. And I'm not saying in any way, because I don't feel this way about Carolyn Jones. I'm not saying in any way that I feel like she doesn't believe or have the best interests of the well-being. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we want to know. We want to know. Just like when she came on prior to the election, going back, it wasn't last year, it was a couple years back, and we spoke on this platform, and I asked her about her decision about FC Cincinnati. Ain't no different. You know what I'm saying? You make your decision, it is what it is, but can you explain it so we can understand where you're coming from? You know what I'm saying? You want to be the school board president? Hey, You get to put president by your name, and you get to, whatever the roles and responsibilities are, you get all that good ish. Well, hey, when it's tough questions time, because we're in the middle of a pandemic and you making decisions about, people's lives, well, you can't run. You can't run. And it ain't good enough to pick and choose what shows you want to go on to. You know what I'm saying? When people going to ask you, well, could be difficult questions. I don't know. I just want to have the conversation. So we'll see. I'll put more of an effort into that to have that conversation. So we'll see. I'll keep you up to date. What I will say is that some of these same school board members, and not all of them, some of these same school board members that was Nate, they can't come on the show enough, that now when it's not election time, when you reach out to them, they don't even want to respond back. I want to tell the community that they won't even respond back in some cases. What's his name? Ben Lindy. Oh, he was on the show 3-4 times before the election. I reached out to Ben Lindy. I can't even get a respond back. And you can't tell me you're not checking your message, because that's irresponsible. So which is it, Ben Lindy? I told y'all. I'm just saying. I'm not going to draw no conclusions as of yet, because, it's still early on. I want to put more of an effort into it and hit it from multiple angles. And then I'll come back and tell you who's real and who's not. Who's on that we only want to talk when it's going to benefit me in terms of visibility election time-ish. And who's on that I'm a leader that represents the people. And when the people want to hear from me, I'm there. I don't get these politicians, man. I don't get it. Well, I do kind of get it, quite honestly. So I want to put that word out there. So somebody must have got at Carolyn Jones and was trying to tell her she needs to resign. And I wouldn't say that. I don't have enough information to make that kind of a statement. But what I will say is that we deserve an interview. We deserve a conversation where we ask you questions and probe it, and follow up. Ain't no just we ask a question and move on, but we follow up and probe deeply so we can make it make sense. It might make sense. It might make perfect sense. Like we hear and they're like, oh, okay, well, we got it now. Sometimes you can not agree with something, but you can understand it, right? Just gonna tell you. So somebody was trying to get at Carolyn Jones, and and then she felt so strongly about it that she went on Facebook and posted it, which I wouldn't see myself doing that, but I mean, it is what it is. You do what you do. That's her Facebook page. Really, it's Facebook's Facebook page that they let you have. People think you got a right to be on Facebook. You do not. You don't like it? Go start your own Facebook. And then you can decide what you want to do and who's going to stay on there. Simple as that. But what do you think? Have you seen that? Did you see that? Y'all should go to her page. It's still up right now. BMG. That's BNG, Black Not Gilligan. That is hilarious, Glenn. You are Black Not Gilligan. Angela writes, the government killed MLK. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. All I'm here to tell you is that the William Barr is his name. I interviewed William Barr twice. It's one of the shining moments of my journalistic career. He wrote a series of books. It's a trilogy of books. It first came to my attention by a listener. A listener sent it to me like, Nate, you hip to this? And matter of fact, it's still on my bookshelf right now. I'm not sure if it's on the books behind me. It might be on the bookshelf in the living room. No, I think it's behind me, actually. But anyway, it's a series of books in which William Barr wrote. As I understand, he's still alive, living in the UK. I'm not sure if he does a whole lot of interviews. And I got a chance to talk to him 2 or 3 times. I can't remember, at least twice. And he gave me the whole story. I'm like, damn, this is interesting. Gave me the whole shorty doo-wop, man. James Earl Ray was a patsy who tried to tell the world. In the 90s, there was a civil lawsuit where essentially an American jury exonerated, if you want to look at it, for like, they found that there was credible evidence that there was a conspiracy to kill Dr. King. This is an American law case, widely underreported. There's a lot of information out there right now on YouTube. You go to Black TV. He talked with a black, what's the brother's name? Judge Joe Brown, who I didn't notice had some involvement way back at the beginning of his career with the autopsy of Dr. Martin Luther King, where he talked what appeared to be very intelligently and very specifically about the autopsy and just the evidence that was out there that suggested that the rifle, that was used to kill Martin Luther King was not the same rifle that they found and/or connected to James Earl Ray. I mean, it's credible information. William Barr came out with an interview that he did within the last few years. I want to say the last 3 years. I can play it for you. Would you like to hear it? I'll play it for you. In which he concludes that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and I think this is all important. It's all important. People might say, it happened a long time ago. Man, listen, if we're going to have a conversation, we should start with a factual basis. And these are the facts as they are starting to come out over the years. But William Barr did an interview, just to let you know, fam, in which he said that Dr. King didn't die from the bullet. He died at the hands of these so-called medical professionals inside the hospital. They just let him die on the table. That's deep. See, it's far more comfortable for us to believe that there was a conspiracy than to believe that he died at the hands of doctors. I'm just saying. I'm not telling you that I know this to be facts. I'm telling you what's out there. You make your own decision. You know, some of this sounds like make a lot of damn sense. It make a whole lot of sense. But you tell me, 513-873-7134, if you like to share your thoughts this morning. Let me see. What's up, Taya? Taya writes, our blackness is everywhere. Yes, it is. Good morning to you, Taya. Let me go way back and start with Angela. Angela writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Happy MLK Day. Good morning to you. Matter of fact, I got to start this at the chop shop. Sorry. Brenda writes, happy MLK Day. Ray writes, here. Fox writes, rise and shine, young stars. Tracy writes, hi. Sharp writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. MLK Day and Inauguration Week. Yes, it is. What's up to you, Mason Mahler? Sharp writes, up working for a better tomorrow. I know that's right. You don't get no days off. Who's got it? I don't get no days off. It's a working day. It's every day until you get to your goal, and then you'll probably have an hobby or something like that as you're working on. Always. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. That's what the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King would want you to do. He wants you to spend today wealth building for your family and your community. That's what you need to spend today doing. Figuring out some plans on how you're going to stack chips so you can build legacy, wealth, build up your portfolio for your family. That's what the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I think, wants you to do in these days and times. Because then you get the money, then you get the respect, and then you get the power from the great poet, Little Kim. Miss D writes, greetings. Judge Joe Brown has the best breakdown of the MLK assassination. He was the judge during the retrial, so you saw that too. I think I played it before as well. Yeah, he broke it all the way down. He seemed to be very credible to me. He seemed to be very credible. He broke it all the way down about how they went for a headshot with King instead of a body shot. Damn near missed the shot. Bullet goes into his temple right here, comes down this way, comes out of his chin, hits his clavicle. I got to memorize. Goes over here, nicks his carotid artery, goes around his back, and then embeds in the skin underneath his back. That's what happened to Dr. Martin Luther King. He bled out. Now, did he bleed out on the scene, or did he go to the hospital, as his family's lawyer, William Barr, said, and was basically denied assistance by the medical professionals in the hospital, and he bled out there? I'm just telling you what they put out there. You make your own decisions. You doubt what I'm saying, you go on YouTube or whatever, wherever you go to get information, and you double check and tell me if what I'm telling you is factually in error. And if it's wrong, then I want to be corrected. Black Russia, who was trying to call in, writes, good morning, hashtag alt middle. Good morning to you, brother. Many white folks have started with generational wealth before they were born. Big head start, hashtag alt middle. That's right. That's right. Due to the crimes committed against, as Tariq Nasheed would say, FBA, Foundational Black Americans. Due to the crimes against Foundational Black Americans, yeah, they were able to amass a whole lot of wealth. If everything was equal, man, you would have a whole lot more black silver spoon types out here, but it is what it is. Black Russia writes, Warren County talk like he lived here with us. Dude live in Mason, where his city councilman went to the Capitol on 1/6/21. I think I read that. I think that's true. Drop Dems have ran Cincinnati for 70 years. Now they ask, have we achieved MLK's dream, and the numbers suck? So who is holding black people back? Question mark, hashtag alt middle. Well, that's a good question. Is anybody holding black people back? Or are black people holding black people back? That's my question for you this morning. You know, all day long, people going to be talking about Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. He had a dream. He had a dream. That's why I wanted to share with you a little something different, right? We started off talking about 10 other things that the Reverend Dr. Luther King said. From Jay Smooth. This goes back to 2008. You can find this video. It's dope. I thought it was great. Just to kind of stretch your brain a little bit and give you a little something different. So coming up at about 15 minutes, we're scheduled to speak with James Jenkins. James Jenkins is a brother that's running for Cincinnati City Council. So we'll talk to him about his campaign, his platform, and his vision for the city today at 9 a.m. Until then, let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Brother Nathan, this Kev on the cell.
What up,
Happy
Kev on the cell?
MLK Day, bruh.
Good morning to you.
I'm chilling. Good morning to you as well. Hey, so you asked a question that I love to answer. Now, you know, this is my wheelhouse. And I know it's boring talk. We don't like talking about it. But black people got to start looking at what's long term and start looking at what's hot and sexy for the minute when it comes to finances. And that's the biggest issue that we have. You know, we buy liabilities instead of assets. I know you've said it a lot on your program, that we buy liabilities instead of assets. We celebrate those liabilities. And then when when they get towed away or taken away, or, you know, you just pass away and you can't give them to nobody because they ain't worth nothing, we're shocked that we don't have wealth. But that doesn't make sense, because we already know that a car doesn't have value. It doesn't add value to you other than the fact that it gets you to work and make sure that you can handle your business, right? Because the day after you buy the car, I could buy the car from you for less than you bought it for. Instead of that, we should be out buying houses and things like that. Interesting fact, I was watching Market Watch yesterday, and they were talking about the cryptocurrencies, and they were talking about Bitcoin in particular, because Bitcoin is on a serious trajectory right now that they are calling a bubble. And they're saying that Bitcoin has had 3 bubbles in its existence, and the last bubble was a correction of 60%. So if you're putting a whole bunch of money into Bitcoin, into crypto, and you get a 60% correction, all of that money goes away, and you end up with a loss. Then you have to build it back up again. But we're playing markets like the lottery, and that's not how you do business. So we as folk, if we understand money, need to talk to other folk who may not understand money and say, hey, buy an asset, buy a house, buy a stock, buy a bond, buy something that will give you some value that you can pass to the next generation, so that when you leave this earth, whatever it is that you built up, your child or your loved one, whomever it may be, may have a leg up in the next generation. That's the problem, bro. And we ain't got to blame that on nobody. We can just blame that on good old us. What you think, bro?
Well, I like the way you think, man. I like the way you're thinking, brother. It's about self-empowerment. I think that's the mentality right now.
Absolutely. I just encourage everybody who is going to watch the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, to look at all the companies that are promoting their products during the Super Bowl. Pick the ones you use, go research them, look at a market, you want to look probably at like sorry, I lost my words. You want to look like at CDs or, bonds are good. They're long term right now. Interest rates suck, so you ain't going to get much of a return. But start looking at those products that you see on the TV and say, which one of those do I use? Which of those stocks look interesting to me? Find out what the price is. It probably shock you that the stock sometimes can be, $5. And, look at a platform, any platform. There are a few, E-Trade and all of those other things, and see if you can start building you some wealth instead of just saying, I like the commercial about Doritos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want folks to do well, man. That is the goal. The goal is if everybody does well, then we all do well. And so we need to stop trying to blame other people. Other folks are doing it. This ain't hard. You ain't got to invent the wheel. If the people, when you go to the line and you look at the lottery, if there's most of the people are standing there looking like you, and you don't see the other folks in the room, you got to start wondering to yourself, like, why ain't they playing? That should not be your family wealth, man. That absolutely should not be the way that you try. Now, mind you, let me say this, because I'm gonna say this fairly. If you play $2 on a $600 million lottery, I am not mad at you at all. I'll be joining you in that line. But I ain't gonna do it every week, and I ain't gonna do it every day. You know what I'm saying? Because there's balance in everything. Hey, man, as always, on this wonderful MLK Day, by the way, the Hawksworth has a blood drive going on. I'll be going down to give my pint here a little bit later. Yeah, absolutely. To make sure that there's a good blood supply for all of us. There's a blood drive today. We just need to start empowering and lifting each other up and stop mean mugging, man. Tell your kids stop mean mugging other people for no reason at all. Your life ain't that bad. Every day you get up, you walk down the street, look like you gotta use the bathroom. It ain't that bad. It couldn't be that bad that early in the morning anyway. Have a blessed one, man.
Take it easy, bro. Appreciate you. You too. It can't be that bad early in the morning. You just got up. He mentioned Bitcoin. Maybe I can get this in real quick. I found this interesting article about Bitcoin. And for all those early adopters about Bitcoin, you were right. I came across this story, man, and I'm wondering how many people can identify. Like, I didn't purchase any Bitcoin. I wish I had. But there's a man named James Howells. He is a non-black person from Newport, Wales. So this is Newport, Wales. And he has now offered the city council in Newport, Wales, a 25% cut of his 7,500 Bitcoins. I'm going somewhere with this. He brought up Bitcoin, so that's my segue. The problem is that Mr. Howells, a few years ago, apparently he had like a digital wallet. He had a hard drive, essentially a digital wallet that was loaded with the passcode for his 75,000 Bitcoin collection. Happened back in 2013. And speaking about Gilligan's, he mistakenly threw it away and it was taken to a landfill. Then that was 2013. His initial investment is now worth, get this family, $275 million. But he can't get access to it because he threw his hard drive away by accident. So now he wants the city council of Newport, Wales to allow him to excavate the site so he can find it. And then he's going to take it to like some forensic scientists who are going to recover the data that he needs so he can get access to his 7,500 Bitcoins. He says that he'll give them 25% of the cut, which will be into the millions. I mean, I think it's worth $275 million. So what's 75% of 275 million? I mean, what is that? $33 million, something like that. It's not even 133 million. That's like $75 million, somewhere around there, maybe. I'm $70 million, maybe. I'm just doing the math in my head real quick. So he wants to give them $70 million to allow him to excavate the the landfill, because this fool mistakenly threw away a fortune. Like, what's the most expensive thing that you've accidentally thrown away? You ever thrown away money before? Have you ever thrown away like weed? A lot of people have done that before. You got your little blunt somewhere, maybe you got a little bag of weed, throw it away by mistake. I've heard the stories. What's the most expensive thing that you've ever thrown away? Well, don't feel bad, because this fool threw away $250 million worth of Bitcoins. If that was my son, I'd kick him straight in his arms. Like, fool. So apparently around the world, like people didn't know that Bitcoin was going to take off. From what I'm reading in the article, apparently there's something called Wallet Recovery Source Services. It's a firm that helps people recover their lost digital keys. So these people will get these digital wallets, come up with a passcode, then forget the passcode, and then they can't get access to what could be a lot of money. $250 million, man. Listen, I'm getting that. You can believe that. I'm gonna call somebody. Y'all gonna wake up one morning and the site's just gonna be excavated. We gonna recover the money now. 250 mil? I'm sorry, 275 mil. Like half of it goes to investors. He had investors. So they're gonna get what, 125 million off the top? And he's gonna get 25%, he says, allegedly, to this particular city of Wales. But the city of Wales is like, well, I mean, it's gonna take us millions of dollars to do this. And we don't have any assurances that we're actually going to recover it. We don't know if we're going to find it, and we don't know if we're going to recover it. Man, I bet you there is so much money, diamonds, Rolexes, expensive equipment that people have mistakenly thrown away. I'm just real quick. We got James Jenkins giving us a call here. It'll be a Zoom call here shortly. But just real quick, family, I mean, what's the most expensive thing that you've ever either lost or mistakenly thrown away? Like, I'll tell you one thing I do all the time, and my wife hates it, and it's just, I just don't be thinking about it. And they say it's me, but I think it's my daughter. I'm going to blame Midian Buddha. And if she's up right now, she's going to come down here watch, because this is how my children are. They don't give a damn streaming. I'm in my house. It's my daddy's office. I can come here when I want to. And they're right, they can. But anyway, what's the most expensive thing you ever thrown away? I've thrown money away before. I think the most expensive thing I've ever thrown away, you ever thrown away a check? Like you just thought it was trash. And you like, oh my God, I think I threw this check. You ever thrown away money? You got to go through the garbage. You ever gone through the garbage trying to find something expensive? I've done it before. Yeah. And then you're like, damn, I think I took it out back. And you got to go outside and get the trash out. Oh yeah, put your gloves on, put your little, whatever you put on, and go rummage with your little flashlight. You out here like Mission Impossible, like, with a flashlight in your mouth, trying to find something in the trash, or some straight Mission Impossible type stuff. Like, shit, Tom Cruise ain't got nothing on this, man. I'm going to find whatever you're trying to recover. Out in the trash, like, man, get the hell out of here, man. This fool threw away 207. So again, I share this with you, family. If you ever thrown away something very expensive, don't fret. Somebody's got you beat. So we'll come back to that. I see Brother James Jenkins is backstage. Let's bring him straight on. Hey, James, good morning to you. How you doing?
What's up, Nate? Like I say, I have made it. I'm on the Nathan Ivey Show. I have made it. I'm telling my mom, right? I have made it.
Is that right, brother?
How are you? Absolutely.
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Thank you for making some time this morning. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So, for folks, I know a lot of folks, you're from Cincinnati, I believe. Again, I'll get the story from a second, but tell us about yourself, James. Are you from the city?
I am. I grew up in Avondale, actually, on Blair.
And you are currently running for city council, is that correct?
I am.
Okay. So just tell us about your background, and then, I'll ask you some questions about your platform.
Right. Well, my name is James Jenkins. I live here all my life. I started my own business here called Art Online. I built it from 8 vendors to over 100 a month. I went to Cincinnati State. I studied business law and corporate law. Like I said, I come from a single family household. My mom worked her butt off to get me here. And I feel like I have a lot to offer to this overall city. And like I said, the main thing is, Nate, I really want to figure out how can I take questions. I would love to learn more from the people. What are the overall ideals? What do they overall want to see done? I think the biggest thing about politics is we let politicians tell us so much what their concerns are, and we're not listening enough. I want to know from the people, what are their concerns? What do they want to see done? How can we move this city forward in their direction and not our direction?
I'm down with that. Before we get started in deeper, though, I hear like I'm hearing picking up something in the background.
Give me 1 second. Maybe the TV. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I hear a little something. That's James. And that's James Jenkins' fish tank in the background. Let's get a better look at that. What is that? You got some fish in there?
Oh, yes.
You got some fighting fish in there, man? What kind of fish you got? You got some betas in there?
No, well, no, a couple of Geophagus, a couple of Blue Electric, DMZs, things like that. You know.
Okay. Oh, good. So what's prompting you to run for city council in this particular time?
Well, I would say overall, the one thing was I've been around downtown for probably 10, 15 years, and just seeing the overall change and really trying to figure out how do we make these changes more, I would say, more broad. How can everyone feel more a part of what's going on downtown, where it's not just a hand select a few? I mean, how do we truly start bringing change to the overall people? I think that was the one thing. And then another thing was I kind of got sick of saying how much I hate politics. You know, my main thing was I thought, well, if I hate it so much, how can I make a difference? I don't want to just be someone on the sideline complaining all the time. How do I do my part? And so I said, you know what, why not run for city council? I know the city well. I've been running for a very long time. In my opinion, I know a lot of the overall issues that many of us have. And I want to figure out how do we deal with those things.
Mm-hmm. You ever had any working with politics at all? Ever worked on any campaigns or anything like that?
No, my first time ever.
Okay. So how would you describe yourself? I mean, will you be seeking a, support from any of the major parties? And if so, which party?
Well, I'm running as an independent. You know, I think that's probably my hardest thing there, as in people want to put me to one side or the other. And I think that's the overall problem. How do we get back to doing the work of the people and we're not just picking sides? I think, to me, the biggest endorsement I can get is the people's endorsement, not some particular party. Okay. But I understand how in politics you must pick a side, but I refuse to. I am picking a side of the people, so.
So to be clear, you're not going to be seeking an endorsement from any party. You're just going to do the independent thing.
Yes.
Okay. And what's your reasoning behind that? Is because you don't want to have to deal with what comes with an endorsement from a party?
Well, no, it's not about me having to deal with it. Sometimes I feel like, when you get certain endorsements, you owe those people. I don't want to owe anyone but the people of the city. I want to owe you guys. I think you guys are going to get me that seat. So I owe you, not a particular party. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think in today's politics, we have gotten so far away from just doing the work of the people. It's like, how do we get back to somewhat in the middle? And to me, it just, I hate things about both parties, and to me, I feel like we almost need to be, I think most people are independent. I don't think most people care what change comes as a fake.
Right. I get you. So, did you declare that you were going to run? I believe you did. You said it real early, but was it previous to all this stuff coming out about corruption in City Hall?
Well, no, because if anyone thinks about when I first initiated my run, it was in 2019. And
right, that's what I'm saying.
Right, and the first thing on my course was restore trust. And this was before all the corruption. I've been trying to figure out how do we bring back trust to overall people? How do we make people really feel like the government works for them and we're not working, and it's not the other way around?
Okay. Some comments again. If you got questions for James, send them my way, and then I'll make sure that I put them to him so we can maximize our time with him this morning as much as possible. All right. And just send me a text message. That's the best way to do it. You can do it right here in the chat, and I'll share them with James. So what are your pillars? Everyone, I know you're saying you want to hear from the people, and I respect that because I agree far too often, but just to give us a starting place, what are the pillars of your campaign? What do you represent, and what is it that you think when you look at the city, we need from city council?
Well, I think we need to figure out how do we make things more fair and balanced. I think the most important thing is many people like myself feel left out. Like I say, I built one of the largest art shows here and no one knows I run it. No one talks about it. No one talks about, who is behind Art on Vine. And so to me, I think the main thing is how do we make things more fair and more balanced? How do we do more things like real affordable housing? In my opinion, I don't want to have to be on welfare to have affordable housing. Where can I just, why do and to me, it's like, how do we find more homes for $100,000? I think we need those homes for $500,000 to $600,000, but at the same time, we need those starter homes too. I think about how great of an investment that could have been. I think if my mom would have had a house, gave it to me and I sold it, how much easier it would have been if I would have had $100,000 to get started. or whatever that number is. But I think economics, but fair economics. You know, I want to figure out how do we just truly make people feel more involved in a part of what's going on downtown, and not just down all over the city.
So that's my question. I mean, how would you do that as a member of council? I agree. That's a question we should be asking ourselves. So how do you accomplish that, James, if you're on city council?
I think the most important thing is to probably ask the tough questions. Why are these things not being done? You know, and I think that's one thing we must really figure out. Why? I mean, I would say we got the smart folks around. We have all the money. I mean, we see it can be done. Look at OTR. We see these things can be done, but the one thing is so many folks just feel left out. And so the main thing is figuring out, and also I think one thing about Black folks is we must have a sound plan on what we want to see done. Many of us just say change, and so we get anything. You know, they'll put a mural in the streets and say, well, here's change. And to me, but we need tangible change that we can really look at and say, hey, this has helped me. And I think that's where we're lacking. I mean, too many of us are just settling for whatever they throw in our faces. But the main thing is, it's not coming from us. I want to be someone saying, well, hey, wait a minute. If you're going to do this project, how do we truly bring the community involved?
So let's keep it on Black folks then. You know, I'm cool with that. So what does that mean? Does that mean a Black agenda? Does that mean that you'll have a Black agenda? Does that mean that you'll be looking for a Black agenda from the community?
I'm not sure if it's a Black agenda or more of just a fair agenda where everyone can feel a part of it. You know, I think in business, I think that's one thing that people kind of dislike about me, that I'm not someone that hops on trends like Black Lives Matter and things like that. Because to me, I think when you're in business, you need green dollars. I don't care where they come from, Black or white. You can't. It's hard to sustain yourself on one level of income. You know, so when you have something going on, you want to have everyone involved. But once again, Nate, we're all here together. We must truly begin to learn how to work amongst each other. You know, we cannot keep finding ways to be more divided. You know, I mean, we cannot make segregation cool. You know, the main thing is we are all here. How do we start to coexist? I think these are the problems we're not addressing enough.
Mm-hmm. So again, I mean, so why not a Black agenda? I mean, would you agree that if you look at the circumstances of, let's say, Black Cincinnatians, right? That makes sense for the audience that we're speaking of and what you're trying to do, right? Black Cincinnatians got here through a particular and unique route. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so for us to get to use some Martin Luther King language, a promised land, it's going to take policy with intentionality for that experience, i.e. a Black agenda. Do you agree with that?
Yes, but I will figure out one thing is, what is a Black agenda? I think we have heard those things for so long. What is a Black agenda? You know, I mean, are the people behind the people bringing up Black agendas truly going to see these things through? We have heard about it for so long. You know, and so that's why I say, is it a Black agenda we need, or we just need things to be more balanced and fair? But that's why I say, once again, we need to figure out from the people in these roles, why are all these things not being done? We don't need more symbolic gestures. We need tangible results. And that's why I say, when it comes to a Black agenda, show me what would a Black agenda consist of? And that's my main thing. You know, I would say I think about things like issue 7, how it was to give Metro $100 million. I was somewhat against it, you know, because I felt like with that kind of money, we could have done so many things with it. You know, I mean, $100 million. If we would have took $10 million a year out of a plan like that and said, hey, let's donate this to a minority district, that's $100 million over 10 years. Now we're talking. But like I was saying, it seems like the people in these roles are not, I would say, I'm not too sure if they've been disingenuous or what it is. But I think it's on our part to make sure we hold people accountable and we are serious about what we want.
Mm-hmm. Well, two things here. I think going back to the Black agenda, I want to stick with that for a second. You said, what is it? I mean, you know, it's simple, man. It's on paper, a set of policy initiatives that were derived with the intentionality of targeting a particular, you know, group here that has been targeted throughout the history. Like I said, I mean, if you look at the conditions of Black Americans, we didn't get here by ourselves, right? You know, and so for us to get to a brighter place, it's going to take some intentionality. So that's what the Black agenda is. And I think there are people that are very serious about that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, this is the question I'm asking anybody that's running for anything, right? You running for mayor, I'm going to ask you this. I want to know what is your plan for Black Cincinnati? I think that's very important. And some people might hear that like, oh, you're excluding. Actually, I'm not, you know, because this city will never reach the promised land. Some more Martin Luther King language, you know, MLK Day. We'll never reach the promised land until we address, you know, some of these neighborhoods and some of these demographics that have been underrepresented and overlooked over and over, election cycle over and over and over again.
Absolutely, but now each of those same neighborhoods are going through renaissance that has left many Black folks behind. And so that's why I say we must figure out where is the detachment from. And that's why I say, to me, I wish I can snap my fingers and we can all go back, you know, in time and fix these things. You know, I wish at some point, many of us didn't rent the properties, we owned them, you know, and that's one thing too. I think we play a big part because when you own the properties, you cannot be put out of them. It's the main thing is when you rent them, that's when these things come about. But the one thing is we have structural problems that have not been addressed that we must address as people too. You know, and that's why I say it's going to take us all to figure out how do we begin to truly make this city more, I would say more fair, more balanced. I would say to figure out how do you truly bring everyone involved when these things are going on. And we don't just have people at City Hall talking. We really have true plans on how to get these things done. You know, I think the biggest problem we have here is so many folks see the progress downtown and they feel left out. You got one side of OTR that's condos and shiny and one side that's still ran down. You know, and so it's like, how do you make everyone feel more involved? You know, Nate, at the beginning of OTR, everyone kept saying, it ain't for us, it ain't for us. You know, but the main thing is figuring out it is for you. I would tell anybody, wherever you want to go, you go there. You know, don't let anyone say it's not for you, no matter how it looks. But that's why I say we must figure out on a true level, how do we begin to break down these barriers and really figure out where are these problems? I think we say things like they, and so it makes this issue so broad. We need to start figuring out who is holding these things up. Why are these things not being done? You know, and that's why I say we must find out what is up here. It may just be the people in these roles. They may not have the same vision as Black folks in this city. You know, some people may not even know what diversity is. You know, and so the main thing is figuring out how do we truly begin to break down these structural problems and truly start producing real results.
Mm-hmm. So you said you brought up the bus system and issue 7. You thought that was a bad investment?
Well, I would say not a bad investment. I would say just when you're talking about how do we find money to start making these things for minorities? In my mind, I think about things like a stimulus package. There was $100 million. I think that we could have done so much to make so many people feel involved. I think about things like Columbia Tuscan, how you got the roads falling in. We talk about things like affordable housing. All these issues could have been addressed to some degree with a bill like that. How do we get the next $100 million bill that will target things like affordable housing for minorities or a minority-owned district? How do we really start getting that kind of, because to me, that's how you produce results with those kind of funds. I mean, you need a lot of money and not just a few $100,000. These are structural problems. It's like, how do we do the next, I would say, the next phase of funding for something like that? I mean, how do we get $100 million for minorities?
Right. I mean, that's not really a city council issue though, right? Because that was like the CARES Act. That's a federal government level.
Oh, no. Oh, no, right. But I was just saying, as in, I'm comparing the Metro deal, how it was $100 million for $75 million towards roads and bridges. I mean, towards Metro and $25 million towards roads and bridges. In my mind, I was just saying how when I think about that kind of money, it could have been like a stimulus package for the overall city, where we could have said, hey, if we got $100 million a year, it can go to 5 or 6 different programs. We can deal with 5 or 6 different issues and not just one. And that was my main thing. a lot of folks said how when we did issue 7, it was about making sure that people had access to jobs. And I said in my mind, okay, well, great. Why not just take that kind of money and contact those factories out in those areas and say, hey, we got $100 million. If we build affordable living by your factories, will that help you with employees? And so to me, if it was really about jobs, why not just build homes in those areas?
I mean, I hear you, James, but I mean, are you saying that you don't think the Metro bus system needs investment?
Well, I don't know, Nate, and I don't know, because I would say, to me, I don't see the issues that Metro are having today. To me, I think Metro is serving a great purpose. I think transportation has changed so much over time. We got things like Uber, red bikes, and scooters. People are getting around in so many different ways. Yes, Metro needs investment, but does it need $100 million a year?
Well, James, here's what I would say, man, is that, the city of Cincinnati has a lot of people in it, right?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that don't have cars. Are you aware of that?
Absolutely.
Are you aware that there's people that can't afford an automobile?
Absolutely.
Right. Have you ever had to or ridden a bus, to go back and forth for work?
On Blair in Avondale, my mom rode the bus most of our life.
Right. So
when we got our first car, it was like a dream come true.
Right. Okay. So you should know this then, brother. The Metro. Completely. Right. So you should know that the Metro is a lifeline for folks, and that the current system, system doesn't really operate the way it should. We need more routes to go to more places with more frequency. The buses themselves need upgrades. I mean, I've heard horror stories of people just trying to get to work, got to pay $2 or $3, take them 90 minutes when it should be a straight shot of 30 minutes.
But once
that needs to be addressed.
No, Nate, you 100% right. But back in rebrand the bus, we had more routes. We had the 47, we had the 51, we had more routes. And so clearly we cut routes and that didn't work. And now we're saying we need more routes. We had all those things. So that's why I say, how do we start to solve these real structural problems? Because we had more routes. We had more buses. Why do those things go away? Just like we cut back on bus stops in certain areas. And so I get every single thing you're saying, but if it was up to me, I want to figure out how do we get people to that next wave of income where they may be able to get this of a car and not just be reliant. Because to me, the current plan for Metro is to make downtown more appealing. And it's true. I want to do what's right for the overall people. I am them.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand how my life has changed from riding Metro to having a car. I rode a bike for 5 or 6 years straight. I didn't even have a car. I caught the bus. I get these things. When I was in school, I rode the Metro.
Sister Iris writes, if jobs are in the county, matter of fact, I put it on the screen. If jobs are in the county and we have no transit to get people there, what is his plan?
And I love Miss Iris. I think she's a big advocate for the overall city. But the one thing is figuring out, that's what I said. Once again, Nate, if it's more about getting people to overall jobs, why can't we build affordable housing by those jobs? I think that'd be a much more greater impact than putting the money to Metro. Why not put the money to the overall people? Why can't we contact Habitats of Humanity and ask them, hey, if we got $100 million, can you build these homes in these county areas? Can they be affordable? And so that's why I say, how do we just truly get true progress getting done? I'm not against Metro at all. 100% I'm not. Whatever Metro needs, let's do it. But let's figure out what it is. My main thing is, you see a bus today, it's almost empty. Do we need smaller buses? I mean, how do we truly solve these issues here?
Mm-hmm. Well, Brother James, what I would say, man, just moving forward, when you talk to people, I would really do a deep dive into that Metro issue.
Absolutely.
Before you talk about that anywhere else. Just do a deep dive into what that really means and the demographics and who's being really impacted by that. Because, I hear you about the Habitat for Humanity, but that would still leave Metro with a whole lot of holes in their budget and an issue there. But let me go back to the questions here. And again, this is the chop shop, brother. So you
No,
just
Nate.
know where you are.
No, don't worry about it. I'm okay.
Yeah, people don't hold back. Let me see. Sister Irish writes, not a bad idea, but can we do both?
Absolutely. And that's when I say, well, and that's why I say, how do we do both? Is it truly giving Metro $100 million a year? Or say, hey, Metro, here's $25 million a year, and the other $25 million a year would go towards building affordable housing somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'm with Iris. That's why I say, these have to be teamwork and real partnerships here.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to get a sense, and again, I'm not going to ask you anything. I'm not going to ask anybody else. Just trying to get a sense, because you're the new face on the scene. Just trying to get a sense of what you would stand for in terms of policy. You know, if you were on city council, that's what I'm trying to get a sense of, and that'll give people a sense of, you know, whether they should vote for you or not.
Absolutely.
So, are there any specific policy ideas, policy goals that you would like to put in place if you're on city council?
Well, like I say, my biggest thing is to really figure out how do we start making things more fair and more balanced. I think, to me, the most important thing we need to do in this city is make things more fair and balanced and broad across. I think that's the biggest thing. And I've been around downtown for a very long time, and there's too many people in these backdoor meetings making all the overall decisions. And I think that's where the problem needs to stop. How do we truly start to bring in more folks in the community and really figure out what do they want to see overall done? That was one thing, Nate. I'm sorry that I may seem a little bit not on top of the whole Metro thing, but when I was out campaigning in the West End, in Avondale, I didn't hear one person mention Metro once. You know, someone said, "Hey James, there was a kid hit by a car in the West End. We need more speed bumps." You know, and so I'm just saying, how do we start addressing the needs of the people? You know, if Metro is their most important need, let's do it. But let's ask the people these questions.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
So when you're out with the people, what are the people saying is pressing them? Is the most concerning issue for them?
Give me 1 second. I got to grab I wrote these things down.
Yeah, go right ahead. Speaking with James Jenkins, he's running for Cincinnati City Council. You know, I love new faces, and I want to hear some fresh ideas from the people that's going to represent us.
Sorry about this, Nate. 1 second.
It's all good. It's all good.
Right. See, once again, our fact about the West End, she brought up speed. There were one person that said they would like to see more street lights. More street lights in the West End. One person asked, she said, well, why can't we get more bike cops right around to make sure the area feels more secure? One person asked me about things like mentor groups, affordable housing, food stamps, business classes. And so that's why I say when I'm talking to overall people, I want to figure out how do we address these things. I think about how I run an event called Art on Vine. It's an outdoor market, you know, and the one thing is there are so many people from all kinds of areas that come there, black, white, young, old. And the one thing I love is Art on Vine is built to help them bring in extra revenue to get them to the overall next level. And so that's why I say if you're doing one job, the most important thing is to improve your life is how do we bring you in more income? How can we get you, like I say, most folks don't need a lot of money. If people had an extra $1,000 a month, that may change their life. That may be that car. You know, that may be that nicer apartment. So to me, I don't want to create more programs to keep you poor. I don't want to create more programs to keep you on welfare. I want to figure out how do we get you off those things? How do we begin to improve your standards of living and not just keep creating more programs to keep you almost where you are?
Okay, so let me go with that. So I'm trying to understand. So you say you don't want to create more poor programs to keep you poor. Like what? Like what's an example of a program you think keeps people poor?
But I would see as in how we keep doing things like we mentioned affordable housing.
Right.
But once again, most affordable housing is welfare housing. It's not affordable living. Where is an apartment for this $500 a month, $600 a month? Why can't I just live in a nice area? In order, it's like downtown, we have condos and welfare. You know, there isn't almost a middle ground there. And I'm just saying, people should be able to live somewhere nice and safe and secure and not be on welfare.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just saying, we just in this city, I think we just need more options.
Okay, so how do you create those options? Do you push out the poor people? That would be gentrification, and then
Absolutely,
put in housing that those people can't afford.
No, but once again, that's going on all over, and no one is really making a reference about it. You know, I think about things like Warner Hills, OTR, folks that have been there all of their lives and now been asked to move. I think it's shameful and heartbreaking. But at the same time, I think that comes from something that we must figure out. How do we fix our structural problems? That's why I said earlier, the biggest thing is when we don't own the properties, we are always the ones being forced out. And so the main thing is figuring out how do we begin to own these properties where when these things come about, we benefit. Either we can sell the property or stay. But there's not much we can do when we're renting. And I think those issues must be addressed. And that's why I said earlier, I wish I can snap my finger and us go back in time and fix these issues. But it just, how do you fix these things today?
Well, I mean, that's the question. But if you're on city council, we'll be looking at you for the answers. So what's the answer, James? I mean, you're giving me the what, but give me the how. So what's the policy idea that would address what it sounds like is, which is a big issue, the lack of affordable housing units. We 40,000 in the wrong direction. What's the policy ideas that would lead to wealth building in the Black community and some of our underserved and underprivileged communities? What's the idea?
I would say figuring out how can we maybe create more grant programs to give folks overall access to say, hey, if you're someone and you make under 100 grand a year, 50 grand a year, hey, let's figure out how can we get them 10 grand to start their own business. And that's why I say things like when I say issue 7, that's why I said bills like that could have been so broad for the city and so great where everyone could have got a piece of it. And that was my main thing. You know, it wasn't me knocking down Metro. It was just me saying, like I say, I know how important Metro is to so many. My mom used to put our dirty clothes in a stroller and get on a bus and go to the wash house in Avondale right by Walgreens. I get it. But the most important thing is to figure out how do we begin to fix these structural problems. And that's why I was saying with issue 7, if we had $100 million a year, we could have spread that money out so broadly and have done so much with it. And that was my issue there. It wasn't me saying, hey, I hate Metro. I love Metro. Because like I was saying, and just like you said, what do you do when you don't have a card? How do you also get around? But I'm just saying when it comes down to it, Metro isn't always as convenient as it may seem. If you're a mother with 2 or 3 kids and you're going to Kroger's, how is Metro so convenient for you? We need other options.
Mm-hmm. Somebody writes welfare housing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, James. Go right ahead, brother.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone writes, this is Yolanda. She writes welfare housing. What's that? Question mark. Does he realize there's a lot of working people renting subsidiary housing?
No. Yes. No. I'm not. Like I say once again, I'm not against these things at all. But I'm just saying when it comes down to affordable housing, I think we need to figure out how do we just. To me, when I see a lot of these things, I'm just saying, if I want to live somewhere affordable, I shouldn't have to be on welfare to get that apartment. That's all I'm saying. Why can't I find an apartment downtown for $500 a month and still live in a safe, secure area? It's almost like in order to get these things done, you must be on welfare in order to just to find affordable housing. But I get because with welfare housing, you get tax credits, tax abatements. So I know that may be easier than creating a bunch of affordable living homes. It's just like I'm pretty sure to build a house for $1 million may be easier than building one for 100 grand. And so, but the one thing is figuring out how do we do all these things? How do we make these things more broad? How do we initiate? How do we give people the initiative to overall build a house for 100 grand and not just $1 million?
Right. So how do we do it? How do we do it, James? I mean, you're running for council. Tell us what would be the first step.
Okay, well, Nate, I'll say it. You know, I kind of hate to always give all my ideas out right this minute. You know, I want to be in there getting some things done now. You know, but the one thing I would say is, I feel like if you're going to give tax abatements, why not say, hey, I will give you a tax abatement if your next 15 homes is 100 grand. $75,000, $150,000. I'm not going to give you a tax abatement for $1 million. They don't need it. But if you build homes for under $100,000, I will give you a tax abatement. I will give you tax credit. So why can't we figure out, say, hey, let's give these people more of an initiative to build affordable housing and not just multi-million-dollar homes. I mean, that's one way we can go.
So you're saying, isn't that what council's doing already? Or you think that in your observation, they're not doing enough of that?
Well, I would say, I don't know where they're giving out tax abatements for lower income homes. I always see the homes for $1 million get tax abatements. But I'm saying, I don't really see many people doing it for homes for under $100,000 or $100,000.
Yeah, I believe there's been some developments. I mean, you know, just off the top of my head, I think you've had council members who tried to work on that. I think we need more of it.
Absolutely.
Because, like, how do you tell somebody if they got the money, they can't live somewhere? You know,
Right.
if I got the money, and then how do you make somebody who is developed a property sell it below market value because it fits your overall plan for the city? Like, really, it comes down to, how do you develop without displacement?
Absolutely.
That's the
But
question.
that's why I say, how do we do all these things? That's why I say we need those homes for $1 million, things like that. But also, I'm not saying, because like I say, those homes are going to sell, but I'm saying, how do we do both? How do we say, hey, let's do homes for $1 million, $550,000, and then let's also do a row for $100,000. I'm not saying it's to stop doing what you're doing, because most folks make their big dollars on those higher income homes. But I'm saying how we give tax abatements for homes for $1 million. I'm saying, why not give tax abatements for homes for $100,000?
Okay. Interesting. Corinne writes, affordable housing is housing that does not require more than 30% of your income.
That's subsidized housing. Yes, it is.
Sister Iris writes, what's being discussed and developed now in the city is the Housing Trust Fund, which is supposed to address the affordable housing issue. Also, the development rubric to hold developers responsible to community needs. What is his thoughts about, hold on one second. What is his thoughts about those initiatives? Great question.
I think that was a fantastic question. But Nate, can you put up one more time that question from Irish?
Yeah.
But I think that's the most important thing is figure out right there when it comes to overall developers. I think, see, that's why I said to hold them accountable is to give them the initiative to do the right thing. Right now, they're kind of being incentivized to build those homes for $1 million because they sell and they make profit off of them. But the most important thing is to figure out what say we're going to pay $3,000 for each home. They must go towards more of an affordable living. They must go towards homes under $200,000, $150,000, $100,000. I would say tie their incentives to what they're overall doing.
Okay. Are you aware of the Housing Trust Fund and what that, again, I'm not telling you I'm some kind of expert on it.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Yeah, it's called the Housing Trust Fund. Are you aware of that?
I've heard of those things, yes.
Yeah, you know, you should go to their website and check it out, man, especially running for council. So you can be up on these things as, you know, you're putting your ideas out there because, number one, you might be espousing something that's already put in place. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you always on point with that. But apparently, you know, this is, and I'm going to reach out to these folks because I'm not telling you I'm an expert on it. I am not. I've heard of it, but essentially they want to address the fact that there's so many people in Cincinnati, so many families in the city, they have an income below $23,000 and they're paying more than they can afford for a safe and stable home. So with that fund, they want to bridge the gap, so to speak, which I think is a great idea. I love that.
It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, so we need more of those kind of programs to make sure that they have the funding that they need so they can support the people out there. And again, there's a lot of working class people that are working poor, right?
Maybe.
You know,
absolutely. And that's a lot
they
of
go to work every
downtown.
day and they just coming up empty just because of the way, you know, capitalism works.
Absolutely.
And they deserve to live in a safe, clean, stable environment for themselves and their children.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I love capitalism, but I think the one thing that's happened is it has almost be seen like it's out of reach for me. You know, so many folks feel it's unfair. You know, I think that's a problem. for so long, capitalism has only benefited the ones at the top. How do we make sure that everyone can benefit from things like capitalism? I mean, capitalism is just making action. That's what I say. With the event I run with Art on Vine, to me, I say that's capitalism. You know, if you're someone making T-shirts, making paintings, making drawings, selling things, making extra money, to me, that's capitalism. You know, and that's what I say. How do you make these things more fair and more broad for just so many other people to feel a part of these things? I don't think people hate capitalism. I think they think it's unfair.
Well, you talking about capitalism?
Yeah.
You said you don't think people hate it?
Yeah, I think people. It just seems unfair to so many people. I think personally, I think if people understood money, they would love it.
Well, I think people understand it, but they getting grinded up in the system. They're on the wrong side of it, and you know sometimes they say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You need some shoestrings. There's some folks out there walking around with no shoestrings. It's very, very difficult, you know, to get out of their daily, monthly, yearly responsibilities to try to pull themselves up. You know, if you get yourself in a certain place in our society, you know, because capitalism is cruel. It's cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? You don't get ahead. You don't make money. You don't get wealthy by paying people what they're worth, right? And what they produce. You got to pay them a little bit less.
Right. But that's why I say that's when we come in. And we get more creative for ourselves and figure out how do we bring in more money? How do we participate in capitalism? And that's why I say it's not so much of, most of the time, Nate, it's the folks that say they're on your side that's benefiting the most from capitalism. You know, so we can have all these folks tell us every high dream they can. But most of them same people that's holding your hands is the ones benefiting from you being poor or from not having. And that's why I say, to me, it just comes off unfair. Like I say, I built the business here. No one even knows I exist. You know, and to me, it's like, I think that's unfair. Because once again, I feel like, how do we expect to inspire folks if we don't show folks like them that has made it? We only show the person that's perfect. They got it all together. Like I say, this is my first time trying. I'm working my butt off here, Nate. My mom was a single parent. My dad wasn't in my life, but I worked my butt off. Mm-hmm. And to me, I think anyone that worked hard deserves a fair chance. And that's why I say, to me here, even areas like OTR, it just seems so sometimes unfair and so unwelcoming when you don't feel like you're a part of these systems. As Black folks, we Americans, we've been here all our lives too. We have contributed so why? To me, sometimes it's the same folks holding the Black Lives Matter saying, holding you up. And that's why I say we don't need more substance. We need tangible change. And how do we get there? We don't need more folks holding our hands. How do we get to, like you said, the promised land? How do we get there? Is there a promised land?
All right, James, I hear you, brother. Well, listen, what I would say, man, is I want to give you the last word. I'm not sure if that's it or not. Just to, you know, make your direct appeal to the audience here. And then, you know, I'll let you move on with your day.
Well, no, I would say, Nate, honestly, thank you for this opportunity. And I hope, I want to get out there and meet the people, learn their issues. You know, I may have fumbled the ball here a tad bit, but once again, I'm going to pick it back up and go for the touchdown. You know, the one thing is I want to figure out from the people, what do they want to see done? How can I help? You know, how can we both bridge these gaps? Last night I had a whole list of things I want to talk about here, and I'm here and everything is flipped away. You know, so just like, oh yeah. But like I say, I'm here. I want to give my best shot here. I love this city. I know things can be more fair here. I know it can be. But to me, I think we need the right folks in the right roles making sure these things are done. I don't think we need more ear hustlers. I don't think we need more people just telling us what we want to hear. I think we need true change in substance. And to me, it's fair. How do we overall get there? And I think it starts with getting the right people in those roles.
Well, brother, listen, I love your energy. And I'm 100% about it. I think we need some new faces with some new ideas and some new energy on city council. So in that vein, I 100% support you. I will say this in all honesty, and I say this brother to brother, man. I think you need to do a deep dive into these issues, James. You have to be the expert. You know, if you're running for council, we need to know what's your pillars, right? Give me at least 3 of them. about what you're going to do. Yeah, you're going to listen to the public, but I want to know what you're going to bring to the game. And then on some of these issues, just a deeper dive to make sure that you know as much as possible, when you're doing these interviews and talking publicly, you know what I'm saying? So you can come across in the best way. Now, I'll make myself available to you away from the microphone. I'll share some thoughts with you that just came up with me in this interview, but I want to share that to you with nothing but love, brother, because I wish you the best. But that's my honest take.
I would say, honestly, I think I value this more than anything because it taught me a lot. I think my biggest thing is I'm not a public speaker, you know what I mean? And one thing is, Nate, I'm not someone to have things scripted. I like really just going back and forth, asking and answering questions, freaking out. I want folks to more dig down and get to know me a little bit more. And that's why
I get it, but we can work on that. See, the good thing about it is you got the heart for it. I really believe that your heart's in the right place. That's good enough for me, man. I just wanted to share that with you while I got you on the air.
No, okay? You don't know how much just having this opportunity means the world to me, truly. I've been waiting to get on this show. You know what I mean? And because like I said, my mom was a Lincoln Ware fan. Always played your show first.
I appreciate it.
I heard Nathan, my mom and my stepdad heard Lincoln Ware, and that's why I say to me, it's an honor. And like I say, I hope people don't, get down on me right now. You know what I mean? It's like, give me an opportunity, I come back and I can do it better, But once again,
and the door is open, brother. So let's connect away from the microphone. I'll just share a few thoughts with you, man. And you know what I'm saying? I wish you the best.
Nate, you the man. Thank you so much.
Yep. Take it easy. That's James. James, wait. What's your website? Where can people find your campaign, your information online?
Well, they can just look up James Jacobs for City Council.
Okay. All right, James. Thank you so much, man. Take it easy.
Thank you, Nate. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Nate.
Was you gonna say something else, brother?
Well, no, I was going to just talk about. I wouldn't mind to talk about a few more things, but go ahead, Nate. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Well, no, we're here now. Let's go ahead. What's on your mind?
But no, I was going to say things. Me and a buddy of mine talked a long time ago about things like systematic racism. You know what I mean? And I was saying how I was wanting to do these things exist. Or to me, it seemed like because I have been in so many different roles. I have worked with the CEOs. To the lower management and all those things. And in my opinion, it seems like the higher you go up, the less personal these issues become. And to me, I think a lot of our problems are the people in these roles. A buddy of mine, he's white. And he said, James, why come on certain jobs you see a lack of diversity? And that's why I say to me, we must diversity on the overall job. And I think that's why I say we must stop looking at things so broad and start calling these things out where they should be called out. And so that's why I say a lot of our problems are not systematic. It's the people in the roles, and that's why you got people on jobs that really believe in their hearts that hiring all whites is them doing their part for society. And to me, it's like, how do you change those personal structural problems? And to me, that's where I think Black folks' problems really exist, just not having the proper folks there doing the right things.
Okay. And we'll leave it like that, brother. I appreciate you. Nate, I'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Nate.
Yep, take it easy. That's James Jenkins, everybody. He's running for city council. 100%, like I said, at least he got the courage to get out there. I had nothing but respect for people that put themselves out there. That is not easy. That is not easy calling into a radio show. It is not easy. You know what I'm saying? I make it look easy because this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? And for some people, we got well-heeled politicians that come in. That's what they do. So if you're a first-timer, I got nothing but leeway and love and respect for what you're doing. But I do have to keep it honest with you, especially with my people. My people keeps it honest with me. And sometimes you just got to eat it and get stronger. That's what a mature individual does, because nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I just wanted to share that with that brother because I absolutely wish him the best in what he's doing. And I will reach out most definitely and share just a few thoughts. Most definitely. I wish the brother nothing but the best. To me, I think he's got a great attitude, and there's a lot of people that's thinking about running but too afraid to run because somebody might say something, and they probably will. You get public. That's the thing about going public. When you go public, you public. You out there. you're going to get it all. And it don't matter what you're doing for the community. People going to have something to say about it. It don't matter. You could be A1 number activist for the community. Somebody going to have something to say. It comes with the territory. It is what it is. So that's James Jenkins. Everybody find him on Facebook, James Jenkins. Or for city council, find his website and support that brother. Quite interesting. And I mean, we got a while before city council. Hopefully we'll get a chance to speak with him again down the road. I'll definitely, your door's open. Absolutely, man. Anybody that's about, trying to move the needle forward in a positive way for our community, I'm absolutely here for you. Absolutely. But if something don't sound right, I'd be remiss in my duties if I didn't say something. Just out of love. You know what I'm saying? People call me like, Nate, your microphone's off. I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I wouldn't know. I'm up here pantomiming. That's all love. So that's the spirit, you know what I'm saying, in which I share that with that brother. And we just happen to be live. All right. 513-873-7134. If you like to share your thoughts this morning, I'm here to hear it. What'd you think about James? And I tell people, man, the choppers, man, ooh, man, listen, they're going to say what they got to say. Get ready for it. You're going to have thick skin. I've learned to have thick skin because you going to hear it. You call into the show, you the host of the show, you could be a guest on the show. If the ish don't sound right, well, hey, man, that ain't right. And see, nowadays, people got the benefit of smartphones and all kind of stuff. They can, in a second, and figure out information and get the facts. Send you a link like, bruh, you're not right. That's just the nature of the business these days. That's the nature of media. All right. But I want to say it again. I appreciate anybody running for city council. I respect it because that's a hard thing to me. That's a hard thing to do, to say, I'm going to lead. I'm going to put myself out here and put my ideas on the table. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to do. It is not easy. It's more natural for some people than others. Some people have certain vocations or jobs or whatever in which they're using skills that transfer great for running for council. Some people know. But I'm a big believer that, anybody can run. You ain't got to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth to be a talk show host or to be a judge or to be a CEO or, no. You just be a citizen. You got something to say? Run. Put your name out there. Put your name out there. Let people hear the timbre of your ideas. And I'm a firm believer that you might have something to share. You might have something to share for the community. So that's a great thing. You might not win, but you might come up with an idea that somebody who does win integrates. And if it's all about the community, it's all gravy. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Nate.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, this is Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda.
So the guest you just had, I appreciate him, coming out and wanting to run for council because we need that. However, when he was talking about the Metro buses, my honest opinion is I think Metro needs more routes. They need longer routes, longer hours, because that connects people to their jobs. And when he was talking about welfare housing, I was confused, what's welfare housing? Because you have a lot of people, especially women, that are working, and that's what they can afford is subsidiary housing. So I don't know what welfare housing is.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think you make a good point.
Yeah, and I just think that, he needs to really get with some other people, to really school him on the issues or whatever that we have in the city. Because he was saying when he was talking to his white friend or whatever, and I'm like, that is real. Systematic racism is real.
Very real.
Yeah, so I guess, him talking to the white friend or whatever, he didn't think it was real or whatever, and it is. So I think just, somebody need to, share with him the issues and things that we're having within our community.
I agree. I think there's some education there in order.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right. He does. He needs to be educated.
Yeah. Hey, Yolanda, thank you for the call.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, I don't care how old you are. Anybody can be educated. But yeah, I think I can't disagree with anything she said. I said it. I said as much. You know what I'm saying? And again, me personally, I'm always open to be corrected by my people. Have been in the past, will be in the future. It comes with the territory. My attitude about it is nobody likes it, but I try to listen to see if there's something I'm learning. If it's something I'm learning I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Simple as that. You move on. Makes you stronger. Like, okay, got it now. You move on. Simple as that. That's the way you deal with that. Simple as that. Nothing more to it than that. There's nobody in this world. There's nobody in this audience. Nobody is infallible. That's it. See, Brother Lawrence writes, good morning to you, brother. He writes, people don't want their ideas taken by the most popular people. That's a mistake. James has to continue to address and work on the black agenda. Absolutely. That brother's all over it. Brother Lawrence is on top of it. Yeah, I can hear that. I can hear that. You don't want people to take your ideas, but at some point, they're going to have to be put out there because you got to distinguish yourself between the other folks. So does that happen? Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to start rocking with it too. I can see that. But, where does that leave you in terms of trying to connect with the audience? I mean, you got to give them something that, distinguishes you to them, right? Like, oh, okay, this dude is sharp. He has some sharp ideas. That's the thing about ideas, though, man. That's the thing about it. Once you put it out there, they become fodder for other people. There's nothing new under the sun. Never what you do, but how it's done. Kevin writes, can't wait for the comeback for the touchdown. TNT writes, the truth hurts, but it never lies. Anthony writes, I think you can tell he means well, although like you said, he needs to be better versed in a couple of the key issues. Yeah, I think he means well. I don't think nothing negative. You know what I'm saying? That could be me. That's how I look at it. Akeem writes, choppers speak their mind, definitely, almost definitely. And that's how I like it. Keep it real. Keep it 100. We agree, we agree. We disagree, we disagree. If you think somebody wrong, they wrong, in your opinion. You think somebody right, they right. Again, everybody got an opinion. I value it all. I value it all. You ain't got to think like me. That would be boring as fuck. You ain't got to think like me. I think like me. You know what I'm saying? Think like you. And on this show, your opinion is valuable. That's it. That's it. We might agree on the conclusion, but take a different route. Cool. Angela writes, choppers definitely speak their mind, definitely. Absolutely. That's just, yeah, I think like. TNT writes, it's like Showtime at the Apollo. Where's the Sandman? See, there you go. Toy writes, oh, what was that CCW training like? You know what that means. TNT, you got that CCW. We can go out to the range now. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be in contact with Brother Forte because, we 100% believe in self-defense here on the Nathan Ivey Show. 100%. You have to save you. You have to save you. If you got to lay them down till the boys roll up and you dealing it, you got to stand your ground. As long as you're doing it according to the law, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'm all about that. 100%. I can't wait to talk to you to get the experience. So now we got to get out to the gun range. Get that regular gun time in. If you've never done it before, if you got a CCW and you're not going to the gun range, I've learned you ain't ready. You got to be ready for that recoil, ready for that kick, ready for the sound of it, ready for what that means if you in that situation. And the way you do that is training. That's how you do it, just repetition. LeBron James been in the league 17 years. He's still shooting free throws, ain't he? He's still shooting around before the game. Repetition is the hallmark of greatness. You got to be ready. Make it automatic. So I'm all about it. Speaking of which, the Dope Chicks had a dope conversation yesterday. Now, it was just Danny by herself, but she spoke with Brother Forte from Ride or Die gun training about why black women should get a CCW. I thought it was a very interesting conversation. You can check out the podcast. It's up right now on our CDM website. Yes, most definitely. And I'm glad that Brother Lawrence is out there with the black agenda. We need it. 100%. We need it on all levels. You know, you got to have some idea as to what you're voting for, right? Or just some ideas. And, you know, you can have multiple ideas. You can have multiple agendas. I'm a firm believer that without even having something on paper, I think that most people in general have an agenda. If you want to say most black folks have an agenda. It may not be something that's specified, but they have certain criteria that they're looking for in elected officials. So I'm with it 100%. I think it is important. TNT writes, he was given a platform. Now was his time to shine and deliver. If now, then when? I can't disagree. But, you know, hey, listen, you know, America loves a comeback. TNT. We love that, Rocky. We love it when somebody get knocked down and then rise back up. You know what I'm saying? We love that. I'm not saying he got knocked down. I'm not saying it at all. I'm just saying we love that. And the door is always open. The brother's been wanting to come on for a while. I've been wanting to get him on. And then he just reminded me online recently. And I'm like, man, let's do it. It's election season. Let's make sure we get you on, get you in front of the people. People can hear what you got to say. And, you know, for people that's doing this for the first time, it can be a little bit of practice as well. Just practicing going live in front of people and being in front of people. That's a good thing. You know, I'm a nice guy. Kevin writes, during the touchdown run, what? She writes, we ready, we joining y'all. I'm glad to hear it. You know, when you told me you had the CCW coming up, I was like, good. So we can get on the range. It's a lot of good people, but I've just formed a relationship with Brother Forte and Ride or Die. And I like what they do. And the last time we went out there was back in the summertime. We had a good time. Now, we ended up being in the class that was a bit more advanced for us. I want to make sure that we're all in that beginner, that we are properly placed so that, you know, we get the best out of them. They get the best out of us. But we had a gang of fun, man. It wasn't just straight up, just target shooting. We was like shooting on the run, you know, shooting from the hip, you know, close range, ducking behind stuff, running up. You know, they were recreating emergent situations, right? Because you might be in a situation where you're not just stationary. You might be in a situation where you got to run and then fire. Are you ready for it? You might be in a situation where you're as close as I am to this microphone. Are you ready for that? You have to train for that kind of stuff. I don't believe in that TV stuff. You got to train for that. And when we went out there with them during the summer of 2020, they trained us for that. It was a good time. I could have stayed out there for hours longer, quite honestly. I had a good time. It was great, man. We can order a pizza or bring some food, hit the lunch, and go straight back out to it. I had such a good time. And just learned a whole lot. About how to use a weapon properly. What I should be doing with a weapon when I'm not firing it around other people. Just all the safety involved. Just knowledge about the weapon itself. I remember all that stuff. Remember all of it. And then the in-class part, they made it fun, man, because between him and Joe, they hilarious. They are hilarious, man. You ain't even met Joe. Joe is a character, and I say it in a good way. Joe is a character. And you got to tell him, if you go out there without us, you got to make sure you get the story of when it was in the Bahamas? I think it's the Bahamas story. Hilarious. They're funny. Let's see. Brian writes, he's just taking knee for now, getting things back together. Y'all hilarious. Y'all hilarious. Oh, it's a lot of great people out there doing. I support everybody doing good work in the community. I just born a relationship with those brothers. So let's move forward. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, good morning.
It's me again.
Yolanda.
Yes, it's me again. I got my CCWs back in June, and I took a class, but I wasn't comfortable with the class. And it's no, disrespect to him, but I just was expecting more from the class. The guy who did the class, his name was Doug Cooper, and I had got it through him. So when I went to the range, and I went to this place up on Harrison called Shoot Point Blank, and they had talked me into buying I think it's a Glock 19, and I shot it and started crying and never went back.
Wow. Well, ride or die. That's all I can say, Yolanda. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for the story. Yep. Now, typically, I don't let people double dip because, I got to let everybody, I like to be fair. If I do what I do for one, I do for everybody. So I appreciate Yolanda, though. Thank you, Yolanda. But just so everybody know, no double dipping. Unless you calling back with some emergent, fucking Godzilla and rose from the bottom of the Ohio River. We got to all get out type stuff, or it's a bomb scare, something that's emergent. You better call in quick. But just, more casual. But again, all respect to Yolanda and hope you have a good morning. That's just my rule. Because it makes the show complicated. Then you get a whole bunch of back and forth. I heard this. I'm going to call. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to turn my show into that. But I appreciate it, though. And I've heard, I don't know, Mr. Cooper, I've heard things. I won't say if it was about him or not, because I can't remember the names. But I've heard that there's some people out there that is doing less than quality service. And then those people have to go and get retrained again. So it's an extra expense for the customer. I don't think that's right. I think if you're going to do it, you do it to the best of your possibility, your capability. So people get that's such a very super serious thing too. So I don't think you should play with it, but let me see. It was Godzilla from Godzilla's in the river, and then you call me back. Other than that, then we'll talk to you the next day. Listen, family, it's 10:01 a.m. You know what that means. As my son would say, that's one of his favorite little things. You hear me say it on the show from time to time. That means I got to make a move, family. I got to make a move, but I want to leave you this morning the same way we started. I want to leave you this morning the same way we started. Hold on, I want to pull this up. 10 other things that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said. I want to play this for you, okay? You can find this on YouTube. I take no credit from this. This is not my artistry. This is not my creativity. I'm just supporting the brother's flow. I think his flow is tremendous. But this is 10 other things Martin Luther King said from Jay Smooth, from Ill Doctrine. Check this out.
Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Almost always, the creative, dedicated minority has made the world better. An individual is not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. A riot, at bottom, is the language of the unheard. Don't let anyone make you think God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. I can hear God saying to America, "You are too arrogant. And if you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I will place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. I speak as a citizen of the world, for the world as it stands aghast at the path we have taken. I speak as an American to the leaders of my own nation. The great initiative in this war is ours. The initiative to stop it must be ours. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love.
Again, you can find it on YouTube if you're interested. That's a dope ass quote there. Power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. That's dope as hell right there. I want to read it again. Power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. I wish that our politicians had more, would absorb more of that. That is super dope to me, man. But listen, I got to make a move, family. Thank you so much for being here. You can find it on YouTube. It's readily available. Just go to J Smooth and type in 10 other things that Martin Luther King said. You'll probably find it very interesting, just like I did. Have an excellent rest of your Martin Luther King holiday. I'm going to be out and about actually shooting some footage, some B-roll footage for some upcoming projects. So you may see me. You see a tall brother with a camera. That's me. I'll be out and about today. Maybe not participating because I'm social distancing, but just getting some footage. But I'm highly accessible. If you'd like to connect with me, please feel free to connect with me. I'll put the word out again. If you are a creator or a creative, perhaps we can work together. If you're someone who is thinking of doing a podcast, or maybe you're currently doing a podcast and you're trying to get it to maybe another level, perhaps we can work together. If you're an entrepreneur trying to connect in a very creative way in these days and times, to your customers, or you're an entrepreneur thinking for creative ways on how to promote your business, hit me with a direct message. I have a few ideas. Perhaps we can work together. I love to talk with you, and I will respond today and set up a time for us to connect. I'll say it again. If you are a creator or a creative, I would love to speak with you. I would love to talk with you about some of the plans we have for CDM and some things that we plan on doing. Perhaps you can work together. What I offer is me, 20 years of media experience and been successful on all levels, whether it be public radio, commercial radio, and now digital radio. We are just getting started. So I'll put that out there. You can hit me with a direct message. I will respond today, and we'll set up a time to connect, whether it be through Zoom or maybe a phone call. All right. And have an excellent rest of your day, family. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here, getting up early with me this morning on the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. I really appreciate it. Again, it means everything. It means everything. Have an excellent day, family. And we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.